Hi, and welcome to another session of The Kingdom Live. So today I'm joined by Managing Director Adam Steinhardt, and of course I'm Alex Donovan. So tell me, Adam, what are we talking about today?
Thanks, Alex. So we're going to talk today about how inbound marketing is a great lead-in to e-commerce.
Right, okay. So how exactly does inbound marketing complement e-commerce?
Yeah, well, so the first thing to consider is that these days a lot of businesses have got e-commerce sites on their website. And I think that this is a space where if you haven't got an e-commerce site, then you really need to be thinking about it as being an absolute essential going forward. And so I know out there's some people thinking, okay, well, how does that work for businesses that are offering services and perhaps some things that are not that obvious for the sale through e-commerce? And I guess that's one of the challenges you have to come to terms with, but that the way the world is working is that customers are wanting instant gratification. They're very used to getting that information they want and from there being able to transact. So I guess the thing for B2B in particular and service-based businesses that might have a challenge to that question is, well, what are the things you guys sell? And why can't you put them online? So for example, if you have consulting hours, there's no reason why you can't put them online. If you have help desk packages, if you have all kinds of things that supplement your business, there's no reason why they can't go into an e-commerce store. Now let's have a look at some of the benefits of doing that.
Yes.
So once you actually go ahead and get your e-commerce store set up, then every single product or service that you do have then becomes a page.
Right.
And so that means that you've got that fantastic advantage of the benefit that comes with the SEO boost that'll give your website. Plus, of course, you're able then to have specific information about that particular product or service.
Right.
So even though people may not necessarily add to cart, they're still able to get a clear understanding of what it is you're selling. And what's really powerful about that is that with the search features, now I'm talking mainly with Shopify, there's 4 big e-commerce platforms, we'll talk about those in a sec. But with all of the major players, you've got this fantastic ability to kind of create an electronic price list with search engines within that site. So what you're providing really is an easy to navigate electronic catalog for whatever it is you're selling in a way which consumers are now very familiar with. And I think that's a critical way to get an advantage if you haven't got an e-commerce store to get that happening. But of course, if you have got an e-commerce store, then inbound marketing can make a massive difference.
Right. So what are some of the key tools that you can use for inbound and e-commerce to bring it all together? Yeah,
so inbound, the way it works, inbound marketing is all about having a marketing strategy which provides answers to your customers' questions in your website.
Right.
And a carefully thought out inbound marketing process will ensure that you're guiding the buyers on their journey through your website. So you have top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel pages that give information to help your prospect make their decision. And so if you think about this from an e-commerce point of view, what you'll see is that inbound marketing normally will bring someone to the point where they've got a call to action, but e-commerce takes it that one stage further where they actually go to sale and buy.
Right.
So quite remarkable. So if we marry up HubSpot, for example, with Shopify, which is what we do, you'll see that all the things we can create to generate leads and nurture them through the funnel using HubSpot and using inbound marketing methodologies is then capped off by a transaction that occurs in Shopify. You actually get the sale, which is super. And so those two tools working together in harmony really you don't get 1 + 1 = 2, you kind of 1 + 1 = 5. So a super powerful way to work, and really powerful in particular if you've got products that are easily transactable, but it can be done for everybody.
Well, that's great. So how exactly do you get started with that?
Yeah, so the first thing is that e-commerce has become a lot easier over the years. It used to be back, I remember building my first e-commerce store back in the late 90s when I was an expert, and in that situation it was super hard because you had to create a client-server environment, you had to then have firewalls and allow it to get out to the internet, really difficult. But times have changed dramatically. And so when you talk about e-commerce, what we're really thinking about in our heads is the major players. We choose from 4 major e-commerce platforms. We've got Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento, and WooCommerce. WooCommerce is widely used on the WordPress platform, and then the other 3 are in the cloud, which means they're available to everybody. So when you think about e-commerce, why do we pick those 4? Well, there are plenty out there, but when you look at those 4, the main consideration that we love about them is they actually have marketplaces that surround them. Right. So they have fantastic infrastructure which allows you to easily get your e-commerce store set up. And so when I talk about infrastructure, what I'm really referring to is themes, which you can choose easy to skin your store,
Right.
easy to get started. Plus there's apps which can connect to your theme and your e-commerce environment. And this is really key because what the apps allow you to do is actually extend your e-commerce platform quite easily without huge expense. And so what you're doing by having an app store compatible e-commerce platform is you're making sure that the future is safe for you. You're making sure you're future-proof to different changes in the internet and different things that are inevitably going to occur.
Right.
So typically we'll choose between e-commerce or Shopify for most businesses. Now Magento is a platform that is used for major retailers that are usually on their third or fourth generation e-commerce store.
Right.
So Shopify and BigCommerce, two great platforms, easy to get started. It's not a very difficult process. Typically you'll buy a theme, let's say in Shopify it costs like $0 to $180 for a premium theme at the top end of the scale. And then you just start it. You just start putting information in. You don't have to worry about creating a server or any of that jazz that like you used to 20 years ago. It's very much the case you just start putting your products in. And then what we do as a Shopify partner is go ahead and make sure that that website works and functions how you want it to. So making alterations to the CSS, making changes, and then you're selling. Off you go.
Right. So for people who want to learn a bit more about Shopify, e-commerce, and how they can integrate it to their business, what's the next step?
Yeah, so if they've got e-commerce and they want to bolt in a platform like HubSpot, then there are lots of integrated programs that will sit in the middle and exchange the data. And why this is really powerful is if you consider what HubSpot does. Now, HubSpot works off an email-based database and nurtures and works with your existing contacts. And so what HubSpot does is it bolts into e-commerce. Now, e-commerce is a really good way of actually harvesting email addresses. Okay, now the email address database is super important. That is the database that you own. That is the one asset that your business had that is not controlled by somebody else. So for example, Facebook, the fans you have are rented on the Facebook platform. They're there, Facebook has full control. But with email, you own the database. And so e-commerce is a wonderful harvester of email addresses. And so this means that when bolted into a platform like HubSpot, but it can also be Marketo and Infusionsoft, all these different sales and marketing automation tools, then you're able to get this expanding, growing database that's quickly evolving. And of course, once you've got the email addresses, then you can successfully nurture the customers, successfully nurture those prospects with relevant content that is interesting to them and helps them on their buyer journey.
Right. Well, that's a lot to process and get started with if you're a business owner. So I know that it can seem a bit daunting, but at the Kingdom, we're trying to help you get your handle on this as quickly as possible. We actually have a Shopify consultation, a free one, just half an hour where we can talk through how we can get it working for your business. If you would like to learn more about that, we'll post a link in the comments section of this video. And if you have any questions about Shopify or integrations, then please feel free to post a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
It's interesting too. I think one of the things coming up, we're actually going to go ahead and put our money where our mouth is, so to speak, and we're about to launch our own Shopify store, which will be all about our consultative services. So it's very much me talking about the things that we exactly spoken of in this video. We're going to take our services and we're going to put them online in a store. So I think it's going to be a really interesting experiment. It's worth checking that out as we go because the store is probably only 1 or 2 days away. It hasn't been remarkably hard to set up. And as a result, we expect shortly to be able to start trading and seeing what happens. And we know what's great about that is the minute we put our 30 or 40 services online, there's 30 or 40 more pages contributing to the Google search. So all organic, which is great. So certainly worthwhile considering it. The other thing you consider too, Alex, is that the process of creating e-commerce means that you're actually able to push deals. Everyone likes to get ROI. Everyone's excited about ROI. So it allows you to do a better job of actually pushing people to the bottom of the funnel. Sometimes that bottom of the funnel content is hard to identify, but when you've got the price buy now right there, then it's a super powerful way to do it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today. So join us again tomorrow 3 p.m. for another episode of the Kingdom's Facebook Live. We hope to see you then. Bye.